It's Monday, June 10th, 2024. Thanks for joining me today. Really, really appreciate it. We have a lot to talk about today. So sit back, relax, grab a coffee, whatever, a snack. I want to discuss a lot of these articles I printed up this morning. Get your input. Please comment down below. And always make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. It costs absolutely nothing. Just hit the little subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification. A lot of people say that they're not subscribed anymore. Hit the bell notification so that you do stay subscribed and that you're notified when the newest videos drop. And keep sharing these videos all over your social media. Keep sending them to your friends. Now, without further ado, pull up a chair and let's talk about what's going on in the real world. Not La La Land, not the bubble, not make-believe fantasy land. Let's talk about what's happening in the real world. Markets today, up across the board. We're at all-time highs. Wow, the economy is finally cracking. According to Mark Spiegel of Stanfield Capital, this on the Hedge today, he says, I strongly believe the U.S. economy is headed for a hard landing. I believe it's headed for a crash landing, and it's going to be one that goes down in the history books. He says there's no way an everything bubble built over a decade of 0% interest rates and trillions of dollars of worldwide quantitative easing cannot implode when confronted with 5% U.S. rates and quantitative tightening plus tighter money from the ECB. A hard landing will soon arrive as household debt delinquencies are now surging while personal savings have collapsed and shipping freight data is already recessionary. What do you think about this? I think he's 100% correct. It amazes me that we're not seeing more problems right now. But this is what happens when you flood the economy with God knows how much money. Was it 7 trillion, 8 trillion, 10 trillion? I keep hearing all these different numbers, multi-trillions of dollars. And it is now causing big trouble. The party's over and people are beginning to feel the hangover. But there's no way out of this. There is no way out of this. We have multiple bubbles across the board. Inflation is not going away. It's getting worse. People are struggling. People, 78% of this country living paycheck to paycheck. You know, somebody wrote me, I believe it was today, and said, I'm a broken record. I keep talking, about the same thing, keep repeating the same thing. Look, I'm sharing the latest news that just came out hours ago. And there's a lot of people out there. You may have all the answers to this person. You may have all the answers. You may know everything that's going on. But there's a lot of people who are just waking up today. There's people that are tuning in today that don't know. But to this person, who I think is a little bit ignorant, bubbles take a while to build up, to inflate, especially the bubbles now that we have record overinflated bubbles. They take a while to build up. Depressions and recessions don't happen overnight. They happen over years. And you may think I'm a broken record, but I just keep reporting the news from multiple agencies like CNBC, MSN, even CNN, the Daily Mail, the Sun, everywhere. The economiccollapse.com, you name it, I'm getting it everywhere. A lot of this mainstream, some of it not, but I'm just doing my best to warn people because you can go back 6 months ago, you can go back to my videos a year ago, you can go back to my videos 3, 4, 5 years ago. Guess what? Things are worse now than they were then, and they continue to get worse. And all I'm doing, I don't have a crystal ball, I'm just connecting the dots. I'm reading some of this data. I'm looking with my own two eyes what's happening in my area and other areas when I travel, what's happening to restaurants and retail, people in the comments that are telling me how bad it is, people that I know who are struggling. I'm looking at gold prices. I'm looking at gas and oil prices. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out we got big trouble. Take a look at what's happening with global debt. What is it, $316 trillion? Look at the wars that are flaring up. Look at household debt. Look at national debt right here, the federal debt of almost $35 trillion. They just told you, this came out and told you that in 2035, your Social Security is running out. You're going to get a major haircut. They're telling you every day that we're in big trouble. You got Christopher Wray telling you, be careful when you go out in big crowds because we don't know who's here. And these people, these ignorant people will sit here and go, I'm a broken record. I talk about the same things. Well, if that's the case, I guess I'm going to keep talking about the same things. Now, here's one from CNBC. Came out today. What do you expect from the housing market in the second half of 2024, according to real estate experts. Wow, take a look at where housing has gone in the last 2 years. We are now in a housing collapse. Things are not selling. Mostly, it says here, we think the housing market is going to improve over the next half of the year. Glenn Kelman, chief executive of Redfin, isn't he hopeful? Isn't he being pessimistic here? We've hit rock bottom in the first quarter of 2024. I would expect the housing market to do a little better. Based on what? Mr. Kelman, I don't think is aware of the massive job losses that are taking place. What is going to happen in the second half of this year is you're going to see an acceleration in layoffs. That is going to happen. I have no doubt about it. Take a look at the trend right now. People are losing their jobs by the thousands daily. Inflation. Is inflation getting better or worse? You be the judge of that. I think it's getting worse. I just went to the grocery store. I just put gas in the car. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Call for a service. Call the air conditioning guy up to come service your air conditioning and see how much it costs today. Take a look at your utilities. How much is it costing to cool your house in this heat? Half the country, Mr. Kelman, half the country does not have $500 in cash. We now have the lowest savings rate in U.S. history. People cannot even save money. So if people are losing jobs, they can't save money, they don't have money, inflation continues to run out of control, how in the world does he see the second half of the year? How does he see the housing market improve? I just don't see it. The pool of qualified buyers, the amount of debt that people are carrying right now, they can't buy a house. It's impossible. And then if you look at this next article, home ownership costs in the U.S. jumped 26% since the health crisis. I was reading in some of these states, it's up over 44%, over 36%, 30% in multiple states. When you have expenses such as taxes, insurance, and utilities all going up, it's not a question if you can even afford to buy a house. If you buy the house, can you keep it? Can you afford to keep the house? Can you afford to live in it? So that's another big problem here is even some people that can afford to buy a house today may not be able to afford to live in it because they can't keep up with the taxes, insurance, and utilities. I just don't get where these people get this information and believe that the second half of the year it's going to get better. It's going to get worse. How can it not? You have to have a job to buy a house. And there's a lot of people out there that may have a job, but they're thinking, am I going to have a job in 90 days? Will I have a job in a month? Will I have a job next year? Should I really engage in this idea of buying a house right now when I don't really even have job security? Why would people put themselves in a very vulnerable position? There is just so much happening, so much uncertainty, and most people are beginning to wake up and go, man, things are way overpriced. This is the biggest housing bubble in U.S. history. Why would I buy right now? More inventory is coming on the market. More new homes are being built. I would just sit back, let it play out, and see where this all goes. But I think it's a huge mistake, in my opinion, my humble opinion, huge mistake to be jumping in this housing market right now because I think, as most people that bought a house in the last year or two, very regretful that they did it. You buy a house now, I think there's a very high probability next year you're going to regret that you bought a house this year. Office building in Philadelphia's popular Old City section sells for 38% discount to assessed value. Very interesting. I mean, the whole real estate market, commercial, residential, we are seeing huge trouble. Commercial real estate continues to crumble right before your very eyes, ladies and gentlemen. And residential is crumbling because nobody is buying homes right now. Yes, some things are selling, some areas are still doing well, but a majority of the country is extremely frozen, stagnant, nothing happening. Sales have absolutely collapsed throughout most of the country, and we're beginning to see more inventory and prices coming down. But getting back to commercial real estate, this building that we're talking about in Philadelphia was purchased for $14 million. It's 30% occupied, 136,000 square feet. In 2020, they put a value on this building of around $40 million. The most recent assessed value was $27.6 million. You know what the real value of this is? It's $14 million because that's what the market said it's worth because that's what somebody paid for it. The market dictates what something is worth, and the market says the building isn't worth $40 million. It's not worth $27.6 million. It's worth it's worth $14 million because that's what a buyer paid for it. So we're going to see a lot of this begin to happen, I believe, in the second half of this year in residential, where most listings now, majority, have to be discounted in order to sell. People, I don't think, realize how overpriced everything is right now. And sellers are going to find out, because I look at this stuff 4 or 5 times a day because I'm looking at properties in the southern part of the country. And I keep seeing price reduction, price reduction, price reduction, price reduction, and these homes don't sell. I literally now almost can memorize the addresses on so many of these homes because they've been on the market for so long. I looked at a home in Lake Havasu. Love Lake Havasu, not moving there, but just out of curiosity, I wanted to see what was happening in Lake Havasu. There was a home in the market for over 1,100 days in Lake Havasu. Whether it's the southern part of the country or Lake Havasu, Arizona, it is amazing to see how many homes have been on the market for over 100 days. What's also very interesting is when I look in the southern part of this country, how many $1 million+ homes are going on the market. Why so many of these $1 million homes are going up for sale in the southern part of this country? Interesting. If you know, comment down below. Gold is getting harder to find as miners struggle to excavate more. World Gold Council says this on CNBC. I was reading this last night. You know, somebody wrote me weeks ago and said, oh, there's so much gold out there. This barbarous relic, why do you buy it? It's not worth anything. There's so much gold. According to the article on CNBC, the mining industry is struggling to sustain production growth as deposits of the yellow metal become harder to find. Production was only up 0.5% this year compared to a year ago. It's getting harder to find gold, harder to permit it, finance it, and operate it. What people don't understand is it takes 10 to 20 years to open a mine. So these people who think that, you know, you're just going to go out with a bucket and a shovel and go find some gold, they have no idea what they're talking about. This is a 10 or 20 year process in order for a mine to start production. And to me, when you realize that, when you look at what's happening with the BRICS nations, with Russia, China, these central banks gobbling up so much gold. I had to order more gold today. I made another small order today myself since it pulled back a little bit, up a little bit today, but it's pulled back a little bit here in the last week. So I figured it's a good day to call SD Bullion, make an order. That's what I did. A lot of people write in the comments, how do you do this? What's the process? You can go to my link, SD Bullion, down below. You can go wherever you want to go. You can go to anybody's link you want to. You can buy whatever you want to buy, whatever your heart desires. I'm buying gold right now. If you're not really sure how to do it, you can go to my link. Check out the link, and it's really easy to go through. You could call SD Bullion and just say, ask them what you know, how's it work? Like, how do I do this? I want to buy 5 ounces of silver, 50 ounces of silver, 5 ounces of gold. You can call them up. Please let them know that you watched the show and that I recommended to all of you to go to SD Bullion. If you don't have any questions, you know what you want, go to the link down below. It's really easy. I went to the link, looked at things, made an order. Very, very easy. But I know there's a lot of people out there new, and there's a few people that have been commenting about the process. Really easy. Go to the link. It's simple, or just give them a call. Really, really simple. But I thought it was a good day, especially with the pullback, to pick up a little bit more, because I'm looking at geopolitics. I'm looking at these wars. I'm looking at inflation. I'm looking at all the fake data. I'm looking at the condition of my U.S. economy, and I'm not real happy with what I see. In fact, I'm very, very worried with what I see. So I'm going to be as diversified as possible, and I'm going to keep stacking metals. That's me. You can buy baseball cards, you can buy bonds, you can buy stocks, you can buy cryptos. You do whatever you want to do. I'm just talking out loud here with all of you what I'm doing. So do whatever your heart desires. But I think that owning some gold and silver is probably a smart thing. It can never be worth zero. And if you believe things are going to get worse, then you better buy real tangible assets. Denver immigrants have cost the city up to $340 million, according to estimates. This on the Washington Examiner today. The money, the 340 million, where did it go? Well, it went to help the newcomers, as they call them now, on clothes, to educate them, to feed them, and provide health care. You know, all the things that we have to pay for. This $340 million went to take care of all these people, 42,195 of them. And this is not the end. The numbers will go higher and the money will go higher. Question is, where is the money coming from? Oh yes, it's coming from you and I. It's coming from the people of Denver, Colorado. What are you getting in return, Denver? What do you get in return for your money? You know, somebody, wrote the other day, and a lot of people commented, this woman who said, are you going to work in the fields? Who's going to do this work? Well, what are these 42,000 people doing? What did our $340 million get us in Denver, Colorado? They're not working in any fields in Denver, Colorado, but they need clothes, they need educations, they need health care, and they need food. They're not out picking the food, they're eating the food. So what did the $340 million, and it's probably much higher than that, what did that get the people of Denver? What are all these newcomers going to do? Well, they'll be competing with you for a job. They'll be competing with your kids for an education and a job. They're going to need your tax dollars. So expect your taxes to go higher so you can take care of these people. And at one point or some point, they'll probably ask you to take these people in so that if you have an extra bedroom, maybe they can live in your house. Wouldn't that be nice? Now, let me be very, very clear. I'm not being political here. I love all people. I have empathy for everybody. I don't want to see any group of people suffer, be mistreated, starve, anything like that. I love people. And you know me, I hate these wars. I don't want to see people losing their lives and dying needlessly. And I certainly don't want to see people starving to death or dying of famine and disease. But this is not the answer. You cannot keep destroying the American people with higher taxes, money going to people when our infrastructure is failing, when the country's economy is failing. So many issues here. The debt is exploding. And so you're going to have people from all over the world here, and America's going to be broke, bankrupt, and a third world country. And then what? I mean, this is really dangerous stuff. Cuba woos Russians and Chinese to revive ailing tourist industry. This was very interesting on Reuters today. 66,000 Russians have visited Cuba so far in the first 3 months of this year. Interesting. And most of you probably know, but if you haven't heard, this week, 3 Russian ships and a nuclear submarine will be expected to arrive in Cuba to do military exercises. Now, many of you may not know this, many of you do. Cuba to Florida is 485 miles, and we have a nuclear submarine, a Russian nuclear sub, within 500 miles of the U.S. Dangerous times, ladies and gentlemen, dangerous times. So things are looking pretty crazy in my opinion. Colorado wheat industry in free fall as sales plunge by $700 million. You know it's getting bad when this happens, right? It says here too much competition, high taxes, regulatory burdens. They're closing up a ton of these wheat shops out here in our area. If you know the desert out here, we got a lot of grows, a lot of shops. Sid just called me up the other day and told me that some people he knew in the security business that were working there just lost their jobs at one of the shops or one of the grows. They closed up. And you're going to see more of this. But when discretionary money dries up, people don't have the luxury to visit these shops and buy this stuff for recreation like they used to. Think about the boom that was happening out here a couple years ago when people had stimmies and unemployment benefits and didn't have to go to work. The wheat shops were booming. Not so any longer. The discretionary money is drying up. And this is another reflection of what is happening to the economy. And when you see this business beginning to hurt, you know it's getting bad. American automotive giant Stellantis recalls more than 200,000 vehicles over major stability concerns. This on the Daily Mail today. This involves their SUVs and pickups. A software malfunction which may cause the stability control system to fail. It's a big deal. This affected the Ram 2500 pickup truck, 158,000 units recalled, 53,000 Durangos. Why are these vehicles having so many issues? It seems like every maker, some more than others, have had major issues. What is going on? What is going on with the quality of these vehicles? I mean, some of these trucks are, I don't know, Ram 2500, $80,000, $90,000, depending on the specs. But, I've seen, some of these F-250s, 350s. A friend of mine had major trouble with his F-250, but Dodge has had, and Stellantis had major trouble. Would you spend 80, 90, or 100,000 plus on one of these pickup trucks right now? I mean, it's almost like a gamble because it seems like every day there's another recall from another maker. Would you buy one of these trucks? Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on what's happening in the automotive market and the quality of these vehicles. And these vehicles cost so much money, and yet they're having more trouble than ever. I just think there's just too much technology, too many chips on these vehicles, too much to go wrong. But let me know your thoughts on this. I mean, some of these trucks are beautiful. I mean, they are really nice. I mean, I look at the F-350 Super Duties. They're gorgeous. I don't know if they're having many issues or if there's, what years had issues, which ones haven't. But some of these vehicles have just had major issues. Here's one from the U.S. Sun. Retail apocalypse. Walmarts are closing across the country. What's interesting is, I don't know if this is really a big deal. Let me know what you think, but 9 Walmarts have closed this year across the U.S., many of them right here in California. Is this another warning sign? But I think this is a huge warning sign for other giant retailers, that if a Walmart closes, if a Walmart shuts down, anybody can shut down. But I think it's another reflection that with what we're seeing in crime, what we're seeing in the economy, when a Walmart shuts down, it's a big deal. Now there's 5,000 Walmarts. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. But it is concerning because we are seeing so many restaurants and retailers shut down. But when you see a big one like a Walmart shut down, that's a big problem. It really is. And it puts a lot of people. It makes their life really makes things inconvenient because if you live in a rural area and you the closest place for you is 20-30 minutes, maybe an hour away to a Walmart where you stock up and literally do all your shopping. Which, look, I'm no fan of Walmart. I'm really not a fan because I know most of the stuff in that store comes from China, and I'm just not a big fan of the Walton family. But look, I understand that when that's all you got, that's all you got. And if you live in a certain community or you're rural and that's all you got, that's all you got. So if that store closes, it is a huge inconvenience. It's a problem because now people have to drive much farther. So we'll see how that all plays out. But look, more stores are going to close, more Walmarts, more McDonald's, more retailers are definitely going to be closing. Now, I want to finish with this last article. I was reading this last night. Millionaire investment banker, 52, punches woman to the ground on Brooklyn Street in shocking video. I watched this last night about 5 times. Broke the woman's nose and hurt her arm as she landed on the street. Luckily, she's okay because she could have whacked her head and been a goner. But I guess this gentleman, if that's what we're going to call him, was on a podcast last year talking about having empathy and understanding for others. Isn't that amazing? So we got this millionaire investment banker. I don't know what this was all about, but this woman probably weighed 125 pounds, and he's got quite a right hand, let me tell you. But he knocked her right to the ground, and this could have really been really bad for this woman. What in the world is going on with people? Now we got $1 million bankers punching women in the face in New York. I don't know what's going to happen to this guy. I was reading this last night. I don't know all the details if something led up to this, but what would lead up to an adult man, 52, punching a woman that weighs 125 pounds? You could have killed somebody. I mean, when you punch somebody, they hit the ground like that and they hit their head. A lot of people don't get back up. Be careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. You don't know like what people are like what they're thinking. I mean, this guy looked well dressed, clean cut. The last person you think would just walk up to a woman and punch her in the face. I don't care what somebody says to you. I mean, unless they are a huge threat, why would you do something like this? Why would you? I mean, especially being a millionaire and having things to lose. This guy's going to probably get sued. I mean, maybe nothing will happen. It's New York, but I mean, why would you jeopardize your life for this? I mean, so what? Maybe she called him a name, maybe whatever. I mean, wow, maybe nothing. Maybe this guy just thought that, he had a bad day and just wanted to punch somebody. I mean, you just don't know what you're dealing with out there in society. And, we talked about this a few times in the past. There's a lot of road rage going on. There's a lot of people who are just really, really short fuse, triggered. You don't know if somebody's going through a divorce, somebody just lost their job, somebody's going to lose their house, they just got their car repoed. You don't know what the status is or situation of that individual that you're dealing with. They may be just at their last wit's end. So you just don't know what's going on with people today. But I think most of you would agree people are very short-tempered. Road rage is crazy. People are super aggressive. They're not sleeping at night. They got a lot of bills. They got a lot of credit card debt. They're thinking of how they're going to feed their kids. And again, a job loss, losing the house, getting evicted, whatever the case may be. You never know what somebody's dealing with, and a lot of people are losing it. So be very careful out there. I always say best thing you can do to win a fight is just to avoid it and walk away. Again, if you can walk away, run away, and you can end it like that, great. I mean, it's different if you can't walk away, you can't run away, and now you're going to have to engage. But I highly advise you just walk away and do whatever you can to get away. Avoid confrontation at all costs. If you can't, then you deal with it. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless every one of you. Thank you so much for joining me today and tuning in. It's always an honor and a privilege to speak with all of you. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Pray for this country, America. Pray for this country. We're in big trouble. I think one of the best words of advice I can give all of you today, because people always want some kind of advice, and I don't have the answers. I'm just thinking out loud like all of you. But I think one thing we could all do is say a prayer for this country. If we took 2 minutes out of our day or our evening and just said a prayer for direction and for protection of this country, I think it would do a lot of good. If you care about this country, say a prayer for this country, because we're in big trouble, and we're going to need, in my opinion, divine intervention to save this country at this point, because we are gone. God bless. Stay safe.